Alright everyone, we are back with season 26 and our first war is against For Loki. So we're seeing him really early in the season, hopefully we don't see him at the end, but usually we do, so there might be a rematch later on. Alright, so this war BG1 has Protect, and I'm going in with Guardian, G99, and Quake. We're looking at taking a boss. We have Path 3 in Section 1 and Path 3 in Section 2. I don't have an interesting war besides getting hit in the face a couple times. I'm going to be quaking everything except for the fight to ramp up G99 and then the boss fight with G99. So Human Torch here, really easy quake and shake, nothing really to it. This is not one of the fights I get smacked in the face. Speeding it up a lot just so that we can get through the fight because there's nothing special to see here. Working off the rust with the first war jitters, so this fight seemed like Human Torch was attacking pretty slow compared to other times I've faced him or other AIs, but pretty normal quake and shake fight. Nothing really special on this path as far as nodes go, so really just throwaway champs on this path. Or maybe some bait into longer fights, but not with Human Torch. Taking Korg here, it's only a 5-star. Same thing, quake and shake, nothing special. I do drop the heavy during this fight, but this one I don't get smacked in the face, so. Bypassing the node, which is strike counter fury. So he's never gonna gain any fury charges from the node, just because we're quake and shaking. I did only 1 hour boost in case I happened to have taken any hits to the face to make healing a little lesser later on, but we didn't take any hits, so no pots were needed. It also worked out with the timing of when we were moving in section 2 into boss, so, and down he goes. Moving right along to the fight we're going to ramp G99 on. My 1 hour boost did fall off, so we're going to go ahead and use 6 hour boosts here. Nothing to worry about with this rank 3 Cull. Just got to worry about the explosive personality on the node, so we're not hitting into the block pretty much at all for this fight. Just not going to risk it. His specials are easy to retaliate, so even though there is a class disadvantage, it's not a big deal. It just means I get to throw one SP2 with G99 before we save for the final SP3. I do happen to get hit in the face, just was not expecting it, or I think he caught me back in a dash. I think he caught me back in a dash, we're gonna find out. But it's just parry, keep him against his wall, build your power. I like ending with lights with G99. It makes the recovery after the combo a little bit easier or smoother for me. Being pretty stubborn with his specials to start. Dropping an SP2 here, just to up the combo and up the damage a little bit. Now we're gonna save for SP3. I did hit into his block once. Told myself not again, so that we don't have to worry about the explosive personality. He's at 50%, a little over a minute. I decided to go with G99 this war for Apocalypse because we did have a place to ramp her up. The way it's going to work with Apocalypse for BG1 is it's either G99 if I can ramp it, Void if I can't and I need Void for, let's say, a Hyperion on Buffet, and possibly a Tigra if I can't bring the Guardian synergy and I need that spot. I have been practicing Tigra in the off season, so that I can take Apoco bosses. It's still not something I've mastered, but it's something I definitely want to try, but only as like a last resort. So we were able to ramp up G99, so we went with the safe option. And here we go, popping that SP3. Locking in soul and moving on. Easy peasy. Alright, the next two fights I'm just going to quake and bake. And I guess I was a little too slow. There were a couple times, I think during this one I was a little too slow. During the next fight, it was a different issue. But max boosted. I've quaked and baked a bunch of times. Nothing really to worry about here. Besides missing the parry and therefore taking a combo just like that. But single hit heavy with Mysterio, so there's no worry about getting the poison applied or taking a heavy hit. Just reapply heavy. So, working the rust off. First war of the season. We solo, not a big deal. Moving on to Manthing mini here. We did have an extra white Magneto pre-fight, so I decided to have someone place it here. Healing up Quake. And we're going to Quake and bake this just to be safe, to bypass MD or ever. There's just trying to get to the wall. Tried to parry and he paused a little bit in his timing. I know you guys can't see it sped up, but they've been pausing in the middle of their combos sometimes with Quake, and it just happened to be right at the corner where I decided not to dex and try to parry, and I ended up taking a combo to the face. But it's the only hit I'm going to take. I'm going to Quake and bake the rest of this fight, no problem. Extra 15% damage and the passive stun timer was nice. Helped make the fight a lot faster. I think this is usually a 2.5 minute fight. Instead, we're gonna finish here at 2 minutes, maybe a little less time. All done. All right, and then our boss fight. Taking this with G99, gonna use a combat regen, just so that we don't have to rely on that self-repair at the end, just in case the Assassin Mastery prevents it. Got the Guardian synergy to reduce some block damage. And we are ramped. So, name of the game, push him over SP1 and just shy of SP2, bait out the SP2, dash and retaliate, rinse and repeat. We're using SP2 ourselves to up the combo and up the damage, especially since it doesn't trigger protect. And if we're ever not ready for him to fire SP1, we're going to end our combo short and immediately go to a block, baiting out a heavy. Taking the first two blasts, dashing out of the third, retaliating. You don't really have to, just helps with block damage. But even if you blocked all three beams, you could retaliate his SP1 quickly enough because he recovers forever from SP1. Being a little stubborn there, but we'll get it out. Lining up the SP2, throwing it. Baiting out that heavy, retaliating, baiting the SP1. Going right back at it. The block damage is somewhat significant just because I have a rank 4, or just because I have a 4-star Guardian instead of a 5-star, so the block proficiency isn't as high. It would take about 200 damage per beam blast off. So it's at about 2200, it would bring it down to 2000, which adds up, especially when you see how the end of this could be close, especially if I was taking all 3 hits of SP1. But we've done this fight plenty of times. It's pretty much automatic now with G99. Getting close to our last SP2 to throw, and the last SP1 that we're gonna have to block. And down he goes. So not a bad first war, pretty easy for me. BG1 finished without dying, so it's a great first war for BG1. New Nation as a whole won 8-4. So a nice start to the season. Hopefully we can keep this momentum through the rest of the season. Thanks for stopping by and watching. Hit the subscribe button and follow me on Twitter for the next one. Okay, so we're gonna add a bonus video in here, some Tigra play that I did in the off season. She's rank 2 here. She is gonna take this Rage Weapon X. And what's nice about Rage is that her neutralize prevents the Fury buff from popping up. So the champion here, if you're actively attacking, won't go unblockable from the Rage buffs. She'll pretty much prevent them from popping up. Plus, she's not boosted here, so in this video, there's no worry about basic attacks doing that or special attacks, but most of her damage is from her secondary damage and her ruptures. So we're not really worried about her triggering Rage. I was curious to see this interaction just because I don't have to deal with, once the champion is against the wall, I don't have to deal with Weapon X being unblockable. I can just bully him in the corner, bait out SB1s, and just wail on him with heavy attacks and special attacks while he's against the wall. So you can see here, I'm going to parry heavy to start. Kind of worked this out a little bit better. Now I more so parry and do full combos to push him back, push the champion back to the wall. So he's here at SB1, could go berserk if he uses it. I'm waiting for the unstoppable to fall off before I throw my SB1 to try and back him up. Now I'm going to do 2 risky heavies here, trying to intercept him, but he decides to be passive, except for the second one where I do intercept him. Now we got him against the wall. So he's going to fall out of berserk, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to continue this heavy rotation, use this other SB1 so that I can get the second sense up. Bait his SB1, retaliate it, bully him, build to SB2 now that we have both senses up, and just letting the damage tick. And it's done. So 45 hits, 44 hits, and he was done unboosted with a rank 2 Tigra. So that's kind of why I'm interested here. We get to avoid a lot of the stresses with Weapon X or Rage with good Tigra play. But this is something I've been practicing in the off season, and she is rank 3 now, so maybe I'll get to use her in the season.